for tuning in to Inside Taiwan. I'm Melvin Tim. Kending's Yoho Beach Resort violated environmental laws by undertaking construction without undergoing required environmental impact assessments. After meeting with officials from the Construction and Planning Agency and Pingtung County government, the Environmental Protection Administration said that Yoho's original plan to build a residential complex did not require an environmental impact assessment. However, Yoho's decision to later change the project to a hotel was illegal. Construction on the resort has been suspended and the resort can no longer operate.
The original construction license for Kending's Yoho Beach Resort was for a residential complex. Yoho failed to apply for an environmental impact assessment when it later turned the complex into a hotel resort. After meeting with officials from the Construction and Planning Agency and Pingtung County government, the Environmental Protection Administration determined that Yoho twice applied to construct a residential complex inside Kending National Park in 1994 and 1996. The two construction licenses issued by the Pingtung County government, in fact, did not require environmental impact assessments. Yoho was later fined 3 times by the Pingtung County government for changing the residential complex into a resort. In 2004, however, Kending National Park headquarters decided that Kending needed more hotels and opted to legalize a number of illegal hotels in the area. Yoho applied to have 6 areas legalized as hotels, of which KNPH approved 2. The remaining 4 required environmental impact assessments. Yoho failed to do so and has therefore been illegally operating for the past decade. The Ministry of the Interior says that it will investigate this oversight. In the meantime, Yoho has been ordered to shut down operations and will have to go through the necessary channels and pass required assessments if it wants to reopen.
To deter speculation, Taipei City Deputy Mayor Zhang Jing-e is asking real estate agents to cite sources for sales price and value figures and distributed materials. Those that fail to comply may be charged with violating the Fair Trade Act and Personal Data Protection Act. Further details are expected to be announced at the end of the month.
Taipei City Deputy Mayor Zhang Jing-e has announced a new measure aimed at deterring real estate speculation. In the future, real estate agencies will be asked to cite sources for sales price and value figures listed in distributed materials. Despite the launch of the Ministry of the Interior's Real Estate Transaction Registration System, the Taipei City Department of Land says that discrepancies remain between announced and registered transaction prices. Chang therefore believes that relevant bills should be drafted to preserve transparency. However, Chinese Association of Real Estate Brokers Chairman Li Tongrong says that transparency-related measures should be undertaken and executed by the Ministry of the Interior rather than the Taipei City government. Another expert says discrepancies in housing prices exist due to location, time, and floor, which means the government would need to provide reasonable prices so that real estate agents can have a basis for explaining how values or prices were calculated.
Business and industry groups recently met with Legislative Speaker Wang Jinping, hoping to reach a consensus regarding capital gains tax, financial business tax, and labor pension reform. Business representatives have pointed out that after the implementation of capital gains tax, corporations are finding more difficulties of raising funds. Investors see little return for their money, and securities firms are facing layoffs. The government must consider the long-term effects of policies. Wang Jinping said that he will relay the messages to KMT party leaders for further review.
During a 1-hour closed-door meeting with Legislative Speaker Wang Jinping, business and industrial groups presented their recommendations regarding securities and capital gains tax, financial business tax, and labor pension reform. They believe that the capital gains tax policy is detrimental to the overall growth of Taiwan's financial market, making it difficult for businesses to raise funds while reducing profits for investors. They urge the government to consider whether it is wise to continue with such policies or not. Regarding labor pension reform, in order to lower business costs, the groups recommended a gradual annual reduction of employer contribution requirement and a gradual annual increase of government contribution percentage. Reform for financial business tax was also proposed. Legislative Speaker Wang Jinping said that he will forward the ideas to KMT party leaders for further review. KMT is expected to form a securities tax review panel within 2 weeks to address continual business opposition to recent securities tax changes. Invitations have been sent to KMT legislators for joining the review team.
Prior to next year's municipal elections, 2 of Tsai Ing-wen's former spokespersons, Democratic Progressive Party legislature at large, Zheng Li-jun and Xiao Meiqing, have set up constituency services offices in Taipei and New Taipei City.
Democratic Progressive Party legislator at large Xiao Meiqing is known for her grasp of foreign languages and sharp political mind. In 2010, the party chose her to run in the Hualien legislative by-election, and she ultimately was not successful. Several days ago, Xiao and former legislator Zhou Yashu set up a joint constituency service office in New Taipei City's Xizhi district. This led to speculation that Xiao will be one of the DPP's candidates for next year's municipal elections. Meanwhile, legislator at large Zheng Li-jun, the former head of the Youth Vocational Training Center and the current convener of the Legislative Yuan's Education and Culture Committee, has thrust herself into the midst of the debates on the 4th nuclear power plant and the nation's education policy. She has also set up constituency service offices in Taipei and Taoyuan. Both Xiao and Zheng served as Tsai Ing-wen's spokesperson during her failed presidential run. They have denied the rumors that they intend to run in Taipei and New Taipei City's elections, although it does appear that the DPP strategy to win the 2 cities consists of using new faces.
A Child Welfare League Foundation survey has found that 62% of mothers feel stressed while raising children, with economic factors as the greatest source of pressure. Also noteworthy is that although the government budgets $7.4 billion annually to raise the birth rate, only 14% of mothers believe the policy is helpful.
It's not easy being a full-time mother between the feedings, diaper changes, and playtime. According to a new Child Welfare League Foundation survey, 1 out of every 10 mothers feels that she is under a great amount of pressure. In addition, 60% said the biggest sacrifice of being a mother is renouncing what they enjoy doing, and 42% said they sacrifice their own sleep as well as time with friends to raise their children. Some have also noticed deteriorations in their own health, while others said their marriages have been adversely affected. The foundation noted that although the government budgets $7.4 billion NT dollars each year to carry out policies to increase the birth rate, the majority of mothers believe the benefits and subsidies are geared towards career women and ignore full-time mothers. The survey also found that only 14% of women plan to have more children as a result of the government's policy. Therefore, the foundation questioned whether the money was being spent wisely. It also called on the government to help mothers relieve stress by setting up free family gaming centers in communities and providing additional subsidies.
A recent study in Taiwan found that 1.6 million people have osteoporosis. Among them, 60% are post-menopausal women. Those suffering from osteoporosis are at the risk for hip fractures, which has a 10% mortality rate. Another study by the Bureau of Health Promotion also found that half of the middle-aged and senior women are overweight, especially those 55 to 64 years old. Excess body fat and body weight increase the risks of cancer and other chronic diseases.
76-year-old Ms. Tai used to be 156 centimeters tall when she was young, though her height has decreased to just 140 centimeters when she began hunching her back after menopause. She fell often while walking and was finally diagnosed with osteoporosis. According to a latest study, most people in Taiwan do not have enough knowledge about osteoporosis. More than 74% of the public do not know that their mother's height reduction is the precursor to osteoporosis. About 1.6 million people in Taiwan have osteoporosis. Among them, 60% are post-menopausal women. 1 out of every 3 women above age 50 suffers from bone fractures caused by osteoporosis, and their hip fractures occurrence rate ranks number 1 in Asia. Meanwhile, a recent Bureau of Health Promotion study of 5,892 women with children found that 37% are overweight and that the older they get, the more weight they gain. Half of the mothers 55 to 64 years of age are overweight. The Bureau says that after menopause, women are more likely to gain weight and suffer from osteoporosis due to hormonal changes and lower metabolic rate. Women are advised to increase calcium intake and fibers in their diet, plus daily exercises to keep their weight down.
Due to the influence of Western-style foods, which may include more fat and calories, diabetic patients in Taiwan are getting younger. According to statistics, the number of diabetes in the nation has reached 1.5 million people. The number is expected to reach 2 million in the next 5 years, affecting 10% of the population. Doctors warn that diabetic patients must take extra care of their health to avoid other complications such as retinopathy and kidney failure, or even death in extreme cases.
34-year-old Ms. Chen suddenly lost 20 kilograms 5 years ago when her weight dropped to 45 kilograms. Initially glad about her new slim figure, she began having symptoms including dry mouth, incessant appetite, and fatigue. She was diagnosed with diabetes after seeking medical attention. Fortunately, her blood sugar level is under control after treatment and now requires only regular follow-ups. Doctors say that due to the popularity of westernized diet, diabetes is increasingly affecting the younger generation in Taiwan. According to statistics, 1.5 million people in Taiwan have diabetes, with an increase of about 100,000 new patients every year. The number is expected to pass the 2 million mark in 5 years, which translates to 1 out of every 10 people with diabetes. Doctors advise everyone to exercise regularly and substitute foods high in fat and calories with those high in fiber to avoid the onset of diabetes. People with a family history of diabetes who are 5 times more likely to suffer from the disease than average should schedule regular health checkups so such problems will be detected and treated early.
Those that frequently consume fish are less likely to suffer from cardiovascular disease and on average live 2.2 years longer than those that don't consume fish. Now, according to a 16-year American study, individuals that consume fatty fish twice a week generally have higher omega-3 levels in their blood, which protects against arteriosclerosis and embolism.
According to a joint 16-year Harvard University and Seattle University study of 2,764 healthy subjects over the age of 64, those that eat oily or fatty fish 2 times per week had higher omega-3 levels in their blood, which reduced their mortality rate by 27% and coronary artery heart disease rate by 40%. The risk of death from arrhythmia was further reduced by 45%, and these individuals on average lived 2.2 years longer. According to one dietitian, fish is the best source of omega-3. Tuna, salmon, and mackerel in particular have high omega-3 levels while also being high in protein. A study published by the University of California 1 year ago further concluded that men with high fish diets are 63% less likely to develop prostate cancer. Consuming fish after giving birth can also lower the chances of developing postnatal depression.
The Alliance of Housewives recently convened a press conference to call on schools to reject the use of genetically modified foods in nutritious lunches for students. It pointed out that long-term consumption of genetically modified foods can lead to slower growth and decreased detoxification abilities.
Popular products made from soybeans include tofu and soy milk. However, as Taiwan's soybean output is very low, it imports 2.3 million tons of the legume each year. Over 90% of the soybeans are genetically modified. National Taiwan University agronomy professor Warren H.J. Guo says that although the government asserts that genetically modified soybeans have passed inspections, the inspection standards of countries vary, and therefore there is still a risk when consuming GM foods. To avoid GM foods, shoppers can read labels or go to outlets that do not sell GM foods. It's easy for adults to avoid GM foods, but that is not the case for school children. As many schools are currently deciding on their meal providers for the next school year, the Alliance of Housewives has called on parents to request that schools reject the use of genetically modified foods in the preparation of the lunches.
您尝试过从不同角度看台湾吗？翱翔天际，从高空俯瞰宝岛台湾。从卫星影像上找寻家乡的所在，以全新的视野解读台湾土地的人事物。上天下地看台湾，分享台湾土地故事中的经验与感动。
Formosa, having shown the world how to fight against global warming, I cannot be sure that Formosa even exists. And yet, to help build a sustainable world, I believe Formosa should be allowed to join us. Yes, we are sure inviting Formosa on board will be of great help.
Welcome back to Inside Taiwan. I'm Melvin Tan. To express the gratitude for Taiwan's assistance to Japan during the Tohoku earthquake disaster, a delegation with 472 young people from the Junior Chamber of Japan is currently visiting Taiwan. Along with 113 college students in Taiwan, the group of 602 people decided to challenge the Guinness World Records, walking together for a distance of 50 meters without falling while having their legs tied to each other. Let's take a look at whether they were successful or not.
Before taking the first step, a head count was conducted by a Guinness World Records official who determined that a total of 602 people participated in the challenge. The crowd of people, including 472 young Japanese visitors and 130 college students in Taiwan, formed a 400-meter-long line on the grass along Dajia Riverside Park, getting ready for the historical moment. At the sound of the whistle, everyone began stepping forward towards the 50-meter goal mark while watching the command flag carefully. The mud on the grass, the result of heavy rain the day before, only added to the difficulties. After 6 minutes, everyone arrived at the finish line and, despite being muddy, joyfully embraced each other to celebrate making it in the records book. The idea of the challenge came from Japanese people who wished to express gratitude towards Taiwan for assistance during the Tohoku earthquake disaster. The youths from Japan and Taiwan together created a Guinness World Record and a memorable experience.
The Taipei District Prosecutor's Office recently honored 22 mothers for Mother's Day. These women overcame great difficulty after their children were incarcerated, but used their love to help their children get their lives back on the tracks.
When he was in junior high school, Mrs. Lin's son fell in with a bad crowd and began taking drugs and getting into fights. Mrs. Lin's husband suffered from mental illness, and she had to support her family while trying to help her son turn his life around. At the same time, she faced social discrimination for the actions of her son. After 7 years, Lin's efforts were finally met with success. Former child star Ji Baoru faced similar heartbreak when she discovered her son was both using and selling drugs. Ji was the one that turned her son into the police. After her son was incarcerated, Ji visited him weekly despite a 2-hour commute in the hopes of repairing their relationship. Eventually, they were able to put the past behind them and start anew. These mothers used love to help their children get their lives back on track and are a testimony to the power of maternal love.
Taipei's Hakka Affairs Commission has organized a cultural and creative fair for this weekend at the Hakka Cultural Park. As the date coincides with Mother's Day, many of the handicrafts on sale were specially created to appeal to mothers.
Bags, necklaces, earrings, and even evening gowns are some of the offerings that will be sold at the upcoming Cultural and Creative Fair. All of the handicrafts combine traditional and modern elements, and the artisans hope to show visitors another facet of Hakka culture. The fair will open its doors this weekend at the Hakka Cultural Park. Hakka fashion designer Liu Chouqing has used this opportunity to create a special hat made from Hakka floral cloth. This hat, along with many other items on sale at the fair, are aimed at mothers, as the date of the fair coincides with Mother's Day.
More than 60 overseas Chinese from 31 nations registered for the Overseas Chinese Affairs Council's online sales and marketing course. During orientation, students expressed the hopes that they would be able to strengthen their marketing abilities and expand their personal networks.
60 overseas Chinese from 31 nations across 5 continents are taking part in the Overseas Chinese Affairs Council's online sales and marketing course. The group represented a diverse range of industries, including innovative, health, food and wellness, finance, education, and media. Many students expressed hopes that the 2-week course would strengthen their sales and marketing abilities and provide them with the opportunity to expand distribution channels. More than 100,000 businesses are established in Taiwan every year, including a rising number of online businesses. During the course, students will learn about online marketing strategies and operational management.
Students from National Miaoli Agricultural and Industrial Vocational High School have managed to transform pineapple peels into seasoning. This invention won them a prize at a recent Taoyuan Hsinchu Miaoli Science Fair.
The pineapple peel is first boiled, then ground into a paste. The mixture is then baked until it becomes a 0.5 centimeter thick flavor tablet. It can be used to substitute for the normal flavoring for instant noodles, and there isn't much difference in taste. In this way, the amount of sodium used can be reduced by 1/3, and there's also the added bonus of fiber. The National Miaoli Agricultural and Industrial Vocational High School students who came up with this seasoning say instant noodles are very popular with their classmates. As instant noodles are high in calories and sodium, they decided to improve on them. The use of pineapple peels to substitute for flavoring is not only environmentally friendly, but also healthy. School officials commended the students for using their creativity to improve their everyday lives. This invention won a prize at a Taoyuan Hsinchu Miaoli Science Fair, showing that what the students created has value.
A Roman Empire cultural exhibition, the first of such in Taiwan, will open to the public on Saturday, May 11th, with nearly 300 precious pieces on loan from the Napoli's National Archaeological Museum of Italy. The value of the exhibit items are as high as €5 billion in total.
The staff carefully opened the crates, and the first to appear was the statue of Augustus with the imposing look of an emperor. In the middle of the wreath on his head is a gemstone symbolizing his status as the ruler of the Roman Empire. Another statue was Cupid from Roman mythology, which has wings on the back while holding a cloak on the right hand, different from the usual image of Cupid as a playful young man holding bow and arrow. The sculpture of a woman with hairstyle in a swirl is a good example of popular hairstyles in the year 69, when Romans attached great importance to their appearance and spent much time and money on hair accessories. The Roman Empire exhibit at National Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall, focused on 1st century BC, will display nearly 300 genuine objects on loan from Naples' National Archaeological Museum. The exhibited items, with a total value of €5 billion, include statues and Roman daily objects and accessories to lead visitors back in time for an experience of Roman Empire culture.
侨委会2013年茶饮简餐制作班自即日起开放报名，有兴趣的朋友，请向我驻外管处及各地华侨文教服务中心洽询。
Welcome back. Here's a look at what's on the event calendar. And that concludes today's Inside Taiwan. I'm Melvin Tan. Thank you for watching. Wishing you a great day. See you tomorrow.
华侨团首长一行34人一下飞机，立刻前往侨委会拜会。由于成员中包括泰华各姓宗亲总会联合会、泰国正式宗亲总会会长委员会等各侨团主席伉俪，大家都是泰国重要侨领，平日积极贡献侨社，支持中华民国，所以此行到访也深受侨委会重视。
很感激啊，黄汉良先生啊。团长带这么多人来，不止在台北啊，看到去访问总统府啊，也要去访问拜会各个地方，也有到澎湖去，还要到嘉义市，也要到这个我们的高雄的佛光山去礼佛，是一个很好的一个台湾的旅游行程。
在意见交流时间，侨领们把握难得机会，与委员长吴英义和副委员长吕元荣面对面沟通。除了肯定侨委会推动华教多年有成，也承诺和侨委会一同为海外侨教政策扎根。
在泰国是属于第二代，以前也不懂的，但学习会了，我就一步一步的深，一步一步的去那个学习。所以到目前为止呢，比如说我在家里吧，我的儿子、我的孙子，个个都知道他姓什么、名什么，都会讲几句的华文。
在20多年前呢，泰国政府就有宣布呢，对于华文教育的限制。这20多年来呢，一直在有华文教育的存在，就是中华民国侨委员会的华文教育的计划呢，来辅导他们。所以今天的中生代能够再讲一点华语呢，就是呢侨委员会这几年来推展海外华文教育的一个成绩。
虽然中华民国与泰国没有正式邦交，但是泰国侨领们在海外打拼之余，不忘支持台湾，支持华文教育，也要透过1周的参访行程，了解台湾进步情形。回到侨居地后，继续为中华民国广为宣传。台湾观电视简信玲、钟建刚台北采访报道。